Thank you very much for Chairman Professor Toba. And first of all, so I would like to say the many thanks for the Professor Liang Chan. Because I have the very great honor to have a great opportunity to this meeting. So today, I want to talk on the oral frailty, especially through definition and clinical impact. So, oral frailty concept. So first one is my question: how should we maintain and/or improve the eating ability for the elderly? So. Oral frailty is a new concept as one of preventive strategies for its subject in Japan. So I can show you this slide. So my research target. So by step by step. So first one is how about the oral status in the Japanese elderly, and second one is what is oral frailty. So, and third one is the development of the social support system for oral frailty in Japan. So now, so I'm promoting the action research regarding comprehensive frailty prevention, including oral frailty in the community setting. So, so action research is challenges in various ways to solve current problems with collaborating with many numbers of each multi-stakeholder. So in each local area, in each municipality. So I can show you the background. First one is globally, so life expectancy is rising, and especially in East Asia, including Japan as well. And the second one is we have a huge gap between the average life expectancy and the healthy life expectancy remains around here. And second background is Japan is promoting the bottom-up of two policies. First one is a long-term care insurance system, and so second one is a community-based integrated care system. So these, with these backgrounds, I guess it will be necessary to reinforce the system for frailty prevention. So as a next step, so my question is, how should we achieve to maintain eating ability? As a, so eating ability is a center axis in comprehensive frailty prevention. So as you already know well, so this slide shows a frailty cycle. So launched by Fried. So you can see in the center panel, so we can see the negative feedback, negative spiral around here. And then, so social frailty, frailty concept contains a multifaceted factor. So social frailty and mental frailty maybe so accelerate this negative spiral. So in Japan, so 80-20, so in Japan, so we can say, we Japanese can say the 80-20, 80-20 campaign. So this concept, I can show explain this concept. So in Japan, so one of the most important strategies for elderly oral health promotion was 80-20 campaign, which started in 1989. And then this campaign was promoted all over Japan to encourage Japanese people. So just means nation enrichment to keep 20 or more of their own teeth, even until the age of 80. So I can choose the changes is in percentage of achieving 80-20 campaign. So, you can see this increasing curve, and then so recently, so we could achieve over the 50%. So we can say so the percentage of achieving 80-20 campaign has rapidly increased over the last 30 years. So this 80-20 campaign is quite successful in Japan. And then, so this slide shows the forward-looking needs for oral health care. So you can see in the left panel, so past demands, and then so you can see the right panel, so the just current panel. So I can conclude that this past demands maybe so treatment of dental disease, but so we have to move to the current demands. So current demands is recovering oral functions. So this nation enrichment. So our changes from the past demands to current demands. So in particular, so the number of functional teeth and number of existing teeth. So we know so these components is very important, but so we have to shift the next stage. So we have to achieve to retain eating ability for the healthy longevity. So I guess so it is necessary to create the new model, new nation enrichment that we visualize to achieve good oral health for advanced age people. So now, so I'm conducting the large-scale longitudinal cause study named the Katsuya study. So my research theme is how the elderly citizens gradually decline their various functions via negative spiral of multifaceted frailty. So we are measuring the many kinds of factors. So this area, so oral assessment booth number 1 and oral assessment booth number 2 are here. So we have already published some evidences from this case study here. And then today, so I will focus on these topics, oral frailty. So how can we promote the awareness building regarding the oral health literacy for students? So maybe so I can explain the detailed criteria of oral frailty later. So 2 years ago, so our group has already published this paper. So the main result shows that oral frailty group has about double the risk of getting physical frailty, including sarcopenia and disability, means needs for long-term care, and all-cause mortality. So around more two-fold increase. So this impact of overlay of slight decline in oral malfunctions on risk of new onset of needs of long-term nursing care and mortality. So, so oral frailty is an accelerator for the decrease in healthy life expectancy. So now we developed this oral frailty diagram. So oral frailty means this means all over concept from first stage to the last fourth stage. And then, so in addition, so we want to add the additional message. So slight decline in oral function is very important. So as a second stage. So oral frailty is defined as having poor status in 3 or more of these 6 factors and blue star mark. For example, the number of on teeth and articulation and choking and so increase of untroubled food and reduce occlusal force, and final one is a reduction in tongue movement. So in our cohort study, so we checked the 16 items regarding the oral function. So we selected these 6 items by the analysis. So we should achieve the overall assessment and suggestions of oral functions for nations, especially elderly. Then, so thinking about the social support system for oral function. So we have already stated this concept. So in first stage, so population approach is needed. And then community health program is very important to prevent the second stage oral frailty. And then third stage. So third stage means remarkable deterioration of oral functions. So maybe general dentist is very important factor to prevent this third phase. And then, so final one, so is supported by specialists. So now, so third phase, as named oral hyperfunction, is now covered by the Medicare system from April 2018. So Japanese dentists can take care of the elderly who suffer from oral hyperfunction by public insurance. So I can choose the management for oral hyperfunction. So like this, so assessment and diagnosis for oral hyperfunction, and making an oral function management plan, informed consent, and so on. So motivation for the patient, lifestyle advice and nutrition guidance. So for example, so like this, education and training. So rinsing and gargling, and then so word of education tools, so relationship between the food group and its hardness. So this education and daily training is very, very important factor. So you can see the diagnostic criteria of oral hypofunction. Oral hyperfunction is assisted by having 3 or more of the following 7 factors. First one is the oral hygiene state. Second one is the oral dryness. Third one is the occlusal force. Fourth factor is tongue lip motor function. Well, in particular, so this fourth factor means oral dihydrokinesis. So, for example, ta 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 ta, ka 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 ka, pa 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 pa. And then, so fifth factor is tongue pressure. So very, very important factor. So sixth factor is a mastication function, so chewing function. And final one is a swallowing function. So I'm sorry, so today I have not enough time, so I cannot explain the detailed cutoff value. So you can see the prevalence of oral hyperfunctions. So like this slide, so according to the aging, so people with oral hyperfunction is increasing. So here, so based on these backgrounds and evidences, so for every citizens in each municipality, in each local area, so how should we and how can we achieve to change their mind? So this means aligning self-awareness regarding oral health. And then, so second one is how should we achieve to lead to their behavior modification? So, and the third one is lead to continue their activity even after finishing one effective intervention. For example, so I would like to read the student now the one item. So this vicious cycle as negative spiral. For example, so feeding difficult chewing, and then so tending to choose soft food, and then so decreasing chewing ability, and you can see this vicious cycle. So this slide shows our latest action research in the community. So I'm promoting our project for extending healthy longevity by oral health care in Kanagawa Prefecture in Japan. So to investigate our frailty in the community setting, so our project team was established by first partner is Kanagawa Prefecture, and second partner is Kanagawa Dental Association, and third one is our dental and medical researcher, including me, collaborating. So in 2016, so we have already conducted the large-scale survey on oral frailty in Kanagawa Prefecture. And then, so next year, 2017, so we tried to verify the effectiveness of oral frailty improvement program. And then, so 2018, so we are pushing the regional intervention on oral frailty via local dental association. Using city's name is Iijima city. You can see in this slide, this slide means actual research regarding oral frailty project flow. So first year is survey, and the second year is intervention, and third year and this year, so regional intervention on oral frailty. So today, so I can show you the very, very preliminary simple data. So we could get the good data regarding the improvement of multifaceted oral functions. For example, the tongue lip motion function, and the chewing power, swallowing function, and then so we could see the good data. So the decreasing number of oral frailty. So each oral function was statistically significant improved. So So this slide shows research perspective. First one, in local area and in local so dental clinic. So they should measure the multifaceted oral function, multiple functions. And then, so please push the educate and train instruction, and then follow up. And the next step, so the nation have to do the like the self-awareness leading to the oral health literacy. And then, so this point is a very important continuation of daily training. So this slide is conclusion one. So prevention of oral frailty is necessary in addition to the 80-20 campaign. And the oral frailty diagram, so we developed, is a valid model to increase the development of the healthy life expectancy. So especially so oral hyperfunction as a third phase in the oral frailty diagram is covered by the public insurance system from April 2018. So just now, so I would like to emphasize the importance of two directions below. First one is a self-awareness building of elderly from early stage. And second one is we have to set up the condition and social support system to achieve, to assess and treat and suggest and educate so regarding the whole eating ability. So this slide is a last slide. So to prevent frailty from earlier stage in the community setting, so I guess this important of three pillars, the trinity is very important. So first one is nutrition. Nutrition includes diet, food and food behavior, and oral functions. Second one is physical activity. So of course, this physical activity includes exercise and social daily activity. And final one is social participation. So employment, leisure activity, volunteering, gathering place, and so on. Yes. So I want to say the final message. So we have to raise the older people rise self-awareness and awareness building for prevention of sarcopenia-related frailty from early stage. So that is my presentation over. Thank you very much.
So we have 10 or 20 minutes for discuss. So Professor Liang, come back to the stage. So these two keynote speeches now open to the discussion. The question, please.
Dr. Rai from Japan. Very nice presentation. I have a question to Liang Kong. We were working together. I've kind of collaborated with Liang Kong in terms of the cognitive physical syndrome. I completely agree with the definition of this syndrome, but the only difference with Liang Kong is that I don't want to add another term for this field. So I'm more ambitious to change the definition of cognitive frailty to this physio-cognitive syndrome. What do you think about that?
I don't like it. Well, the first thing is cognitive frailty. I'm not a native English speaker, but cognitive frailty sounds like someone who is vulnerable in cognitive function. So it does not indicate it's a physical plus cognitive. So that's why. Of course, we can also negotiate with Joe. What about changing the definition of motoric cognitive risk syndrome? Yeah, that's another way. It is, but I'm just I'm using a more clearly defined component for this. And I do think that cognitive frailty is not a very good term to me in terms of the feeling of the English. Probably we have John as a native English speaker who can provide some feedback.
It's better to talk to Joe instead of Bruno Veras. That's your idea. Because several definitions of this field, cognitive, physical, impairment.
Yeah.
So it's kind of confusing in this field.
But because in Joe's definition, he used more like a subjective cognitive complaint.
Sure.
So the change of a definition may also change his result. I wonder.
But our definition is more mechanism oriented than their definition.
Okay, so next year let's do a conference for this topic. We can invite them all together and make a final decision.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
The other question is about the intervention study. So did you see the association in terms of the improvement of physical function and cognitive function by your intervention?
They both, because we take the measurement on 0, 6 months, and 12 months. So physicals improve very significantly at 6 months, and a little bit reach the plateau to the 12. But cognition is not that significant in 6, but better in 12.
So my hypothesis is if you can get the physical improvement, you have a much higher chance to be improved in terms of cognitive function.
Yeah, so that the microRNA we identify may have some role because you change you do exercise and you change your physiology and mobility and the muscle become healthier, so less negative regulated signals being sent to the neuron. That's all the hypothesis, part of the hypothesis.
How about the next step after, if you cannot see any improvement by this kind of multimodal interventions?
You mean if no benefit?
Right, exactly.
We are now doing some longer follow-up study that a little bit disappointing. That if we focus on more frail, those who with more multi-mobility, the intervention the intensity should be higher. Otherwise, it does not really reach a significant difference. And for those who does not make improvement, we need a longer time to observe whether they reach, they are the other kind of people that reach different outcomes. So far, I cannot answer you about this.
My suggestion is to change from community-based intervention to clinic-based intervention by providing more aggressive intervention, like multimodal, lifestyle-related disease, cognitive training, and so forth.
Yeah, that will be our next one, because now we are doing a clinic-based multimodal intervention. But pitifully, our intensity looks not strong enough. We should provide even stronger intensity. So that should be the next one. Thank you.
Yes, please.
I really like the oral frailty concept. I think it's a wonderful idea. As you know, there's been a lot of data out of Japan that suggests sarcopenia causes dysphagia and oral problems. The way you're looking at it is more starting with the teeth and the mouth and working downwards to sarcopenia. And I can see how it could go either way. But in your intervention, do you do anything to try and strengthen the tongue and the swallowing muscles in the people who may have some dysphagia?
So you mean your question means so did the program on that in the intervention, right?
Yeah.
So this program, intervention program, is conducting in local dental clinic in each local area, and then this program contains a very simple multi-factors. So education, and then oral movement training, and then tongue movement, and I don't know, what can we say in English? So, yes. So, yeah, very simple muscle training, yes.
So you're doing everything. So a follow-up to that, when you look at the patients, can you are you looking to see who has peripheral sarcopenia and how that relates to the central changes in oral function, or are these two separate in your program?
Yeah, I agree. Yes. This is our next.
Thank you so much, Professor Iijima. As a dental practitioner in Japan, I come from Taiwan, and very glad and appreciate very much for your great research about nutrition and oral function and physical activity and oral and general health. And I just wondering, this question just mentioned from you, and what you recommend the dental practitioner to what to have in this field? What do you recommend?
Dental professional.
Yes, yes. For dentists. Yes.
Okay. So, first one. So, until now, so almost dentist is focusing on the treatment of teeth and improvement. But so please check the multiple measurement of in whole mouth oral function. Yes, and then so please promote the education to the patient using some tool.
Yes, I think it's very important. And my personal practice, I have noticed so many elder patients, bedridden, they have a very poor oral hygiene, of course,
yes.
and induce the poor oral function.
Yeah.
So we do good oral care and give them good education, including the family and the caregivers. And I think this is very important because the dentist and the oral and the hygienist, they joined the treatment for the dysphagia in Japan. Maybe it's not so popular in Europe or the United States, but I'm very proud and very pleased we have a chance to help the patient. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Another question?
I have a question to Dr. Iijima. Thank you for your nice lecture.
Yeah, thank you.
And, I was wondering what's the difference between, you mentioned social oral frailty and oral hyperfunction.
Oral.
I think what is the difference? Oral frailty seems to be a little like oral dysfunction. And then there's number two question is, in the same context, the oral frailty seems like an oral risk factor for frailty.
Yeah.
So because it is confusing the terminology of frailty. Frailty should be defined as a vulnerability of stress with bad outcomes. So in that terminology, oral frailty, if it is a kind of oral risk factors for frailty, it can be confusing. So how do you think about that?
Yeah. So first question. So I'm sorry. So I confused you. And then so oral frailty means so all over the concept from first stage to the fourth stage. So this flow, and then so we would like to push the nation enlightenment regarding the slight decline, the importance of slight decline of oral functions as a second phase. But so as a third phase, this phase is covered by the Medicare system. So last year, so named oral hyperfunction.
Can I answer the question? So oral frailty should be the idea for physician in addition to dentist. So we physicians need to screen oral function by using this score of oral frailty. If we found oral frailty, we can consult dentists. Then they can assess more precisely in terms of oral function, and they can provide some intervention. So that is a little bit confusing. I think I can understand your concern. So my idea is just we can use oral frailty score by screening every patient over 65 or 75 or whatever. And then we can think about the intervention. If we find oral frail patient, we can do it like muscle exercise, or also we can screen for sarcopenia. If we can find sarcopenia, we can provide some intervention for sarcopenia in addition to oral dysfunction of dysphagia. And then if we can have another concern in terms of the oral cavity or this dental disease, we can consult dentists. That's my idea.
I think if I could add to that, because you're saying frailty needs a stress to see, and the stresses are the amount you're eating. If you are orally frail, you're going to get dysphagia and aspirate. So that is one of them. The other is, as you just mentioned, infection. And we know that there's a strong correlation between oral problems, dental problems, developing cytokines, and certainly in animals accelerating dementia through most probably a cytokine-related process. So I think this is why this is very exciting. It's saying this is something we should look for, and certainly if you see somebody who's sarcopenic, as a doctor, maybe you should look in the mouth as well, which we hate to do, but it would be a nice idea.
So we need more collaboration between internal physician and dentist. That's our idea.
Professor Iijima, do you find some the findings about the oral bacterial flora in this study?
At the first year in our cohort, we check, but so we can never continue the measure. So very important, I know.
Another question?
Yunami from Korea. I have a question for Dr. Chen. Your concept, the proposal of a new concept is very interesting, and I'm just wondering whether you've looked at which precedes what, like whether cognitive impairment preceding slowness is more important, or the reverse, in terms of the outcomes.
Based on the cohort from Japan, it looks that the mobility component comes first. And so that's completely robust case from nothing. So they are completely healthy and then develop the mobility frailty and then dysfunction in the executive function. So the sequence should be like this. Yeah. So maybe in some other cases, you will find someone who had the cognitive impairment before the development of frailty, but that may be more specific for the neurodegeneration instead of the ideas that we're talking about. Sorry? I would say, so far it looks so. Brain comes first, especially cerebellum. And because the physiological role of cerebellum is in coordination. So coordinates movement and cognition as well. So more high function cognitive function. So I would say, and along with aging, the Purkinje cell number drops very rapidly along with aging, and there is no stem cell in cerebellum. So based on our current finding from the brain imaging, I would say brain comes first, and cerebellum has a strong role, but exercise or muscle can play a certain role in this degeneration process. That is, so far we can, that is the best guess that we have so far.
Professor Akita from Tokyo. Quick question to Professor Chen. I'm interested in your MRI study. And did you by chance look at the change of MRI findings by the intervention?
Okay. They are all the observational studies. So we're making progress gradually. So the current running cohort, we got more money for proteomics and metabolomics, but no money for brain imaging. So maybe the next intervention study. So in our brain imaging study, that's all observational. But we're also doing some intervention studies. So the first one, there's simply lifestyle modification without chronic condition management. And now we're running the second one with stronger clinical intervention in the cardiovascular risk, plus the measurement of the proteomics and metabolomics. But we're not able to have money for brain imaging for those subjects. So the next intervention study we're going to design to compare. But I'm running a small trial that trying to see how cognitive exercise can change the structure of your brain using the video games. So it's not just funny that because one paper published in 2007 at McGill, they say that playing Mario, the Nintendo video game, playing Mario for 6 months will relatively increase the volume of hippocampus and cerebellum. That's what excites me, that both hippocampus and cerebellum can be relatively increased based on some cognitive exercise with visual spatial training. So I'm running another intervention trial using video game. But that video game will be including some physical exercise. So probably we can see some difference when the result come out.
Okay. So I would like to ask to Professor, so could you show me some findings about the biological background, especially for the cognitive decline, the hypertension, diabetes, the obesity in the middle age, the depression, some recent hearing disturbance. How about lung cancer? These risks for dementia is some character in your study?
Based on the reported study, those are the strong risk factors. But in our cohort, they are relatively healthy, so they are not having strong cardiovascular risk and strong hearing impairment. The Franklin in Johns Hopkins, he proposed a hypothesis that how hearing impairment impairs cognition, but that's not just still hypothesis based. So in our cohort, we're not able to answer. It is relatively healthy. So maybe we need a bigger sample to see what kind of real biological roles they are playing in the development of dementia.
How about in the oral Frailty background of disease, diabetes, depression, something?
Yeah, so we have already known the evidence between the diabetes and oral dysfunction, and then so many medical conditions, including diabetes and disability, may be associated with oral dysfunction.
Because such a systemic disease can be stress on elderly people.
Yeah.
It may, if there was oral function, the oral frailty may be established clinical entity of frailty. So they are advising. So please check the stress management of the oral frailty.
Thank you for your suggestion.
Any other question? So, please.
Thank you. I have two questions for Professor Katsuya. Because we assess so many parameters in the oral hypofunction, I think it's not friendly for clinical practice, so many parameters. Is it possible that in the future you shorten your criteria? Because you see it's so much, it's not friendly in the clinical practice.
I'm sorry.
And one thing is, because many people had used the denture, you see, the denture. When you assess this, will you let them wear the denture or not?
Yeah. So, in the case of medical doctor, so I guess we have to. First one is that we have to know the concept of this order brevity, and then so if we check the slide. Slide. I'm sorry. So we have to connect the
So actually,
specialist. Yes.
sorry, I'll answer for him. Actually, there are several items for our function, but as you can see, there are some overlap. And some of them measure muscle function. So I think after extensive study, we can reduce the number of items. That's one thing. In terms of denture, I have no idea about the effect of denture, but still, if the denture works well, I think it's okay to keep the oral frailty up, to avoid oral frailty or oral hyperfunction.
Okay.
So maybe I can add there, about 40 years ago, we actually developed a dental screening for GPs to use. We validated it with a dentist. It works very well. Nobody ever uses it. But now that you've come up with oral frailty, maybe it is time to put this back into the general practice version, because I agree with you that the concept of oral frailty is very exciting. And if you have something that's exciting, the physician might now say, well, particularly if they can do it, and somebody in their rooming can do it, and then say, oh, but you've got to go to the dentist. They say, I'm a great doctor, I send you to the dentist. You know, I think it's very exciting, and whether you use dental or something similar, I think it makes sense.
And that's the last question.
I have two questions to Professor Chen, very short questions because I know it's already delayed. So one question is about, because you mentioned about amygdala, so is there, what is the role of amygdala in your hypothesis? So the question two is, because you mentioned about proteomics, so is there any other serum biomarkers to predict this PCDS?
The first one is more about mood. So we use another approach to validate this concept using the big data and artificial intelligence. The patients in the national health insurance data, we see how they develop dementia along with maybe 10, 20 years, what kind of disease they're searching for assistance. There shows a potential sequence that usually the patient may start with cardiometabolic disease, hypertension, diabetes, and then start with some neurologist disease like insomnia or anxiety, and then followed by movement disorder like fall or musculoskeletal disease and Parkinson. And the last step is psychiatric symptoms like delusion or the others that before being diagnosed as dementia. So that track, the behavior, the physician-seeking behavior is quite compatible with our finding that you have cardiovascular risk as a background, and then develop some early dysfunction, maybe in the amygdala, so you start to have some mood problems. Then movement, maybe develop. So the memory thing is the last step. So that is how we would think. So it's about mood. So what is the biomarker for the PCDS? So far, we do have some potential candidate protein, but we're not very excited for the protein because the protein cannot penetrate through the blood-brain barrier. So it's not what we're looking for. So using the artificial intelligence, we also identify a potential biomarker for muscle wasting mechanism. But artificial intelligence spent 3 months to identify that protein from our data and all the things. But we spent almost 2 years without knowing what exactly this protein for. So going back to the bench for 2 years without any positive finding, but still it's strong marker for the proteomics, but that does not penetrate through the blood-brain barrier. So that's different things. So that's why now we're also excited by the exomal microRNA that can be directly interact with neuron. So maybe not a protein yet. Thank you.
So many other questions you want to ask to both professors, but it's time, so please discuss on the random time with them. Thank you for the two professors for nice presentation.
Thank you very much.